You are getting a double whammy this time round. You're getting 2 speakers instead of just the one. These guys are award-winning entrepreneurs. Together they founded Yellow Ball, a creative consultancy firm that focus on everything from building a brand right through to web design and development. More recently, they created Idea a fantastic online software solution that allows creative problem solving and ideas right throughout your business, from your contractors, from your operational staff, right through to the boardroom and the CEO. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage the best looking guys in business. It's Owen Hunnam and Charlie de Russet. Thank you.
He's definitely the good-looking one, and someone said earlier that looks like he's from Greece, if anyone's seen that program. Good evening, everyone. When Martin invited us all those months ago to say, can you come up, I've got this amazing venue, and I want to try this new format of talks, we said, yeah, that sounds wicked. We never imagined this, so this is amazing. Congratulations, Martin. Some amazing speakers as well. Everyone's been great this evening, so thank you very much for inviting us, and it's amazing to see such a packed house as well. Good evening, I'm Owen Hunnam.
And I'm Charlie de Russet, and what we're going to do this evening is talk about innovation in the enterprise, but to frame that, we thought we'd share a bit of our story with you. So we've known each other for since we were 11 years old, and we were the guys in the playground that sold everything and anything. And we started off with a publishing company and sold that and went into this creative marketing space with Yellow Ball. And it was a great time for us, but we grew very, very quickly from 2 to 21 people, and we kind of felt that we lost our entrepreneurial culture in that period of time. And so Owen will share some of the values there that we lost.
Yeah, so we'd always had this kind of top-level strategy of being really hot on culture when we'd grown our couple of businesses before. But as we scaled them up, we wanted to be really open, really inclusive, really transparent and collaborative. But those are really easy things to say, and they're easy to sit there as kind of top-level strategies. To make them a reality and to live and breathe them on a day-to-day basis are so much harder. So we really grappled with this issue. We wanted inclusion. We wanted our people and our team to really feel that they were valued and that we listened to them and we cared and they had a place that they could share and voice their thoughts and they were genuinely listened to. So the problem was that was happening in the wrong ways. So people would come and knock on the door in the middle of the day, or they'd come and ping us an email, which would get flagged and wouldn't get read, and it was all just a bit broken. So we realized that there had to be a better way. And we had this problem of how do we capture and curate and action ideas from people around us. And historically, we'd been a very tech-focused business in the way that we operationally ran our businesses.
Yeah, so as digital natives, we absolutely loved cloud-based technology, from client relationship management systems like Salesforce right the way through to project management tools like Trello. We were all about the cloud. So we thought, hang on a second, let's Google it, let's work out what's out there in terms of innovation management. And we came up with very little, and this worried us really.
Yeah, so we were expecting to be able to find something that was kind of off the shelf that we could plug and play and get rocking and rolling with the next day and roll out to our team, but we just didn't find anything. So we were lucky enough to have a development team that worked for us at the time, and we basically built something ourselves that enabled that process and that problem to be solved.
Interestingly, over a 2-week period, we collected 54 ideas from our team at 21, and some of them had immediate impact on the profit. So I'll give you an example. A graphic designer actually spotted that our account managers weren't having quarterly key account meetings. As soon as we implemented that, we looked at a quarter period of it being implemented compared with when it wasn't, and the revenue increased significantly as a result of that from a graphic designer rather than a salesperson.
And what was really interesting as well is that some of those ideas were coming from people that perhaps weren't particularly vocal in meetings, or it wasn't necessarily their job description or their job role. So there was some lovely cross-cultivation of ideas happening within our own team. So we were able to positively impact our own P&L by harnessing the power of the people around us. And we thought that was a really cool thing. And that's really where the penny dropped for us, and we realised that actually this problem of how you harness and curate and action ideas from people around you was not something that was unique to us. This was a problem that transcended businesses, sizes, sectors, and locations globally. And that's when we felt that we had a big enough problem that we could solve it with technology. And that's where Idea Drop, which is our technology startup, was born. And that was 12 months ago. So we've spent the last 12 months having hundreds of meetings with all sorts of different organizations across a range of different sizes and sectors and staff members around this problem of how do you uncover and unlock those nuggets of gold that lurk underneath every single organization. And we've had those conversations over time, and we've realized that there's a number of different trends and themes across all of those organizations. So what we want to do this evening briefly is share some of those unified problems and then also share some of those challenges and solutions, so hopefully you can take away at the end of the session with some ways to be more innovative as an organization. Before we do that, we want to talk about what innovation actually is.
So we've broken down innovation into three parts. The first part being product innovation. So perhaps it's looking at a market opportunity and creating something for that.
There's also process innovation. So as business leaders, a lot of business leaders in the room this evening, you all have processes that exist within your business, ways that you get to a desired outcome. Process innovation is about disrupting that and making it better.
And finally, there's business model innovation as well. So that could be from changing your culture to changing your market strategy.
There's also lots of surveys and reports and insight that's been uncovered around this concept of innovation. It's a really hot topic. If you do a LinkedIn search for innovation manager, if you did that 5 years ago, you wouldn't find anything at all. Do the same search on LinkedIn this evening, you'll find hundreds of jobs that exist in the UK where people are dedicated to uncovering innovation. It's a critical driver to growth. It's baked in at the value level of most board levels of FTSE 100 companies. But the reality is, if we look at some surveys from perhaps McKinsey in 2015, April of this year, 84%, they surveyed 2,500 global executives, 84% of them said that innovation was extremely important to them. But shockingly, only 6% of those same executives said that they were happy with the innovation performance. So there's this big kind of goal of where they want to be, but there's a massive gap in terms of what's actually being delivered. And we believe that the reason for that gap is because the tools and technology aren't being used correctly to unlock and harvest that innovation. It doesn't stop there, though.
Yeah, 1 in 5 managers actually admit to stealing their staff's ideas. And even more so, that 50% of employees claim that they steal their co-workers' ideas to make themselves look better. So there's a problem around the intellectual property of who that idea belongs to, and and therefore discovering who the real innovators in your business are and being able to build retention strategies around them.
The problem doesn't stop there, though. We believe really passionately that regardless of whatever size or sector or location of an organisation, the highest paid people, the people highest up in an organisation, are still, in the majority of organisations, the ones that are having ideas, getting those ideas broadcast, and more crucially, getting those ideas actioned. And we believe that in 2015, that whole concept is completely wrong. It's a broken way of doing business. We believe in the power of a much flatter innovation structure whereby ideas can come from anywhere and from anyone. And when that happens, beautiful things can happen.
I'll give you an example. You've got people in different teams in different locations, and actually in order to have a really good idea, often it has to go through these different teams of people. And that simply doesn't happen in a lot of innovation processes that we've discovered in businesses at the minute, whereas tech can actually solve that.
There's demotivation and engagement as well. If you're a business leader and you don't give your staff the opportunity to share and vocalize their ideas and their insights and the way that they believe things can be better, that's hugely demotivating. Flip it on the other side and you give them a forum to express themselves and be fluid and be creative and have an opportunity to have that awareness of their ideas published globally within the organisation. can be hugely powerful. There's also a fear of sharing ideas as well.
So we've found in our own teams and places that we've done consultancy that often it's the people that have brilliant minds that aren't forthcoming with ideas and meeting situations. They're worried about being ridiculed. There's also often strong managers that like things done their own way and therefore block other people coming up with solutions that in actual fact might be better. So we've done a lot of studying into anonymous idea submitting and found that the results from that are very interesting indeed.
We'll come back to that later in terms of how technology can help make those ideas anonymous and therefore kind of make it really exciting, that process. Also, ideas often disappear into thin air. So the reason for that happening is because there's nowhere for them to be captured. So the reality is that those great ideas that are lurking underneath never even see the light of day. They never get the attention of managers or decision makers who can even review them to potentially make them a reality. And as a result of that, they never have any impact positively on the P&L of that business or the social change of that charity or the education improvement of that school, for example, which is a really sad thing. We also look then at the technology that are in place capturing ideas around these conversations that we've had. And if there's anything at all, the first and foremost one says, yeah, we've got that. We've got email, is what most people say. But there's all sorts of problems with that.
I think we all overuse the flag system and it goes dum, 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 dum. And before you know it, that really good idea is irrelevant or you kind of think, oh, we'll do it tomorrow. And the other problem with it, of course, is we're in this world of social now where we can instantly comment and evolve things through comments. And the problem with emails is that it's very hard to track that thread and to see the impact of that collaboration unfolding.
So if I'm someone that's got an idea and Charlie's my boss or my line manager or my CEO, I might ping him an email if I was one of those braver employees that's going to pluck up the courage to go, actually, the way that you're doing that could be better, and I want to share that. If I do that with Charlie via email, it's one way. I've got no idea whether he's read it, I've got no idea what he thinks of it. He might have even deleted it. He might not have even received it. And crucially, it's had no opportunity to reach anyone else before it's reached him, which is why email in itself is a broken form of social technology internally within a business. And most studies show that for the most progressive businesses, by 2020, email will be largely obsolete. No one wants to receive hundreds of internal emails. There are better ways of doing it. So if we look at that, for example, there's lots of technology companies that are solving that problem. Look at Slack, for example, San Francisco-based technology startup founded in April 2013. 6 months on from being founded, they were valued at $1.12 billion. The reason they were valued so highly is because they're solving a big problem. Wind forward 6 months from then, they were valued at $2.8 billion. They've got 750,000 people a day relying on their platform to collaborate and communicate, and their motto is to be less busy and to eliminate internal email, because there are sharper, better ways, and there's been an acceleration of the consumer web that has moved much faster than the enterprise web in the last 5 to 10 years. There's been an explosion in social tech, so everyone's using really cool social tools and technology to collaborate outside of work, yet they come into the office on a Monday morning and they're confronted with really outdated, clunky legacy systems like intranets and email. And that's why that company is worth $2.8 billion.
So some other things that we've discovered in this ideation process as well. The shoebox in the corner of the room doesn't work. For 3 weeks, it might have, several notes, and those notes are actually good ideas, but it's still flawed in the fact that usually 1 or 2 people have helped put that idea together. So it's still a piece of coal rather than if it goes out into your ecosystem, being able to have the crowd polish it into a diamond ready for management to then implement and impact the profit.
Another thing we see as well is people say, oh no, it's okay, I've got that covered. We've got an internal intranet where people can share ideas, or it sits on top of SharePoint or something like that. That's not really that different to what Charlie described with a paper-based tool, because the reality is that data's got to be pulled out into an Excel sheet. Someone has manually got to groom through those ideas, make a quick snapshot decision as to whether that's a good idea, a bad idea, whether it should be progressed in any way, shape or form. There's no social validation or collaboration amongst anyone else. And the final one is verbally and in meetings face-to-face. It's a basic one. But again, nothing wrong with it, but it's not the best way to share ideas. And what's really frightening is that we've discovered on our journey over the last 12 months or so is that some of the world's biggest businesses and brands are doing this stuff, and it's crazy. So I met with one of a global leading fashion brand a couple of weeks ago. Their HR director was about to roll out a paper-based suggestion tool. I said, don't bother, there's no point at all. We met one of the leading UK estate agents that rely on flip charts and whiteboards in meeting rooms to capture their innovation. They then get their iPhone out, take a picture of it, and bring it back up 3 months later to check what the actions have been. So it's absolutely crazy, and we believe that technology can solve this in so many ways and can make this ideation process much quicker, slicker, and better.
I think the problem with that last example, the flip chart, is that in a meeting, you're often reflecting on a period of time before that, which isn't necessarily when you're spotting an opportunity or looking to solve a pain. So we believe that mobile is a big solution to the ideation process. The ability to capture ideas everywhere and anywhere is really important. Often it's in your peaceful times that you're able to kind of analyze why something happened and come up with a solution to how to solve that.
And to build on that, it's widely considered that the mobile enterprise technology opportunity is valued at about $100 billion over the next few years. There's $100 billion up for grabs for disrupting the way that technology unfolds on mobile in enterprise. So look at a couple of examples, such as healthcare or construction as key industries. The guys that work in those industries have gone from having nothing at all to a smartphone in their pocket. So the way that those processes and those innovations can sharpen and improve their daily lives and the way that they work is incredible and really exciting. But the problem is with all of this that the bigger the organization that you are, or the bigger the business that you are, the harder it is to actually innovate. And the reason for that is because as a CEO or as a board, if you're running a multi-million pound P&L, you're going to be looking at ways that you can change your P&L dramatically to shape it and improve it for the better. And you often will look at innovation that sits at the side there as one of those woolly little topics that how the hell is that going to impact or improve my P&L in a big way? But the reality is if you get it right and you put the right tools in place, it can be incredible. So some solutions then.
So you can tell that we're big fans of the social web, and what we've tried to do with Idea Drop is build an algorithm that works not dissimilar to the way that Facebook displays content to you in the feed. It knows what you're interested in, and Idea Drop looks at the best ideas in the system and bubbles them to the surface so that decision makers can then implement them to impact the business in a positive way.
We've also realized that challenges are an incredible way to capture ideas from your team. So typically, if a business owner or a manager or a decision maker or a CEO has a business problem that they're looking to solve, they'll lock themselves in a room with a bunch of directors because it's deemed that only directors could possibly have the solution to this business problem that we're all facing. Actually, the reality is that if you unlock those and release those challenges into the internal ecosystem of your organization, you will usually find that that solution to your problem lies 2, 3, 4 management layers below, or on the coalface on the production line, or to people who are closer to the customer, closer to the supplier, who historically would have had no opportunity to even know that the problem existed and have no tools or tech to get it to the decision maker. So when you share challenges and you invite people to submit ideas to them, which is a tool that we've built in our own technology stack, that's hugely powerful. But equally, you mustn't forget that off-piste ideas are hugely powerful as well. So if I'm an employee and I've just spotted a way that something can be better, I still should be able to share that. So we've built the tool to enable both of those things to unfold.
Metrics are hugely important to gain action from innovation. So we all have strategic goals, and it's important to align your innovation to those strategic goals and to have measurements in place to make sure that that innovation is profitable for you as an organization. But it's also important to reward and recognize people. So we have built in our system the ability to reward great ideas, but also to put out good news stories about the innovators that are changing your businesses.
And a lot of HR directors will say to us, how can we measure innovation? Like, it's a top board level strategic goal that we want to be more innovative. If that's there, how do we measure that though? And how do we track and analyze the contribution that people within the business or organization are adding to that? That historically has never been possible. But what we've built is a tool that enables not only for the ideas to be ranked, scored, and prioritized in real time via sophisticated algorithms, but we also track and monitor the users and their engagement with the platform to give them an aggregated metric, which we call an innovation score. So now we're seeing some of the HR directors that we're working with bake that in as a KPI into quarterly or annual appraisals so that they can start to measure and track how much innovation are you actually bringing to the table.
And we talked about earlier the need for certain people to remain anonymous in the ideation process, to get honesty, and to allow less confident people to share their thoughts. So we've baked in a tool called cloaking, and when an idea is getting a certain amount of traction in the community, that user can actually reveal themselves as well to benefit from the reward.
And we've also, again, we've taken inspiration from some of the fastest growing consumer web apps that are coming out of Silicon Valley, such as Yik Yak, that's exploding because there is no identity on what's being shared. And that enables people to be really true, honest, and candid in what they share. And that's one of our missions. Our mission is to make innovation more transparent, honest, open, and faster. So by cloaking ideas within IdeaDrop, we're seeing that people share more ideas, they're more interacted with, and the system's more of fun and more of a joy to use. So some takeaways then for me as we kind of wrap up really is that everything we talked about might resonate, perhaps it might be interesting hopefully, but the reality is that without action, ideas are nothing. Without execution, they mean nothing. So in order for you to see any positive impact on your business, you need to create a cultural step change in the values and the morals that sit at the top of the organization. And that can only come from the founders, the CEO, or the board. Once you embed that change, you change your culture, you put the right tools in place to capture, curate, and action ideas, and you actually action them, the things that can unfold can be truly magical.
And it's human instinct to invent and to innovate. So if you give your people the right platform to do that, again, great things will happen.
Charlie and I are hugely passionate about innovation, ideas, and business. So if you want to chat with us this evening, we're around all evening, or connect with us online via Twitter or ideadrop.co. Or if you want to discover more about IdeaDrop and what we're talking about, you want a quick demo, again, drop us a line digitally. Thank you very much.